Welcome in to the Fit Parent Podcast. I'm Jeff. I'm here with Amy.
Woohoo! Ready.
And we had some headphone things. If you're watching, you'll notice I have really old school Apple headphones from I don't know, a decade ago or something like that.
When you were a baby.
Yeah. And so I may make a headphone change a little bit, but my headphones were dead, not charging. But we plow on. We do the thing. Today, we're going to talk about recovery a little bit. And it's actually, I was realizing we haven't explicitly done this all in one episode. We've done it kind of across a bunch of ones, but we haven't done like a full episode on recovery.
I'm ready for it. Look at my sweatshirt today.
Rest day. Look at that. You were ready for it.
Right.
So there's a couple things I want to talk about when it comes to recovery. We're going to start with like big picture, then we're going to go kind of myth busting, and then we're going to go tactical. And big picture, I'm going to say this. Recovery doesn't look like what a lot of people, I think, maybe say that it does. And oftentimes people think of recovery or make it more complicated than it needs to be. Like, so surprising for the fitness industry, right?
Shocking.
So there are tiers to recovery. I'll say that. There are tiers to recovery. There are things that like essentials. There are nice to haves. There are fine to haves. And then there are don't really do anything sort of tier. And so I want to spend a decent amount of our time talking about the have to haves. Mm-hmm. But I do want to address some of the lower tier things that we need to do. And so when we think about recovery, oftentimes we think about what? What are some of the things that come to mind when I say recovery?
For me, it's rest, stretching, mobility stuff, just to get my muscles to not ache quite as much.
What does rest mean to you?
Sitting on the couch watching Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
Very
so
specific.
not moving, right? Like not moving.
But doing like just walks in the woods or walks with the dogs.
Okay. How often should we be recovering or doing rest days? Like how often should that be the thing versus...
I've always heard it's like if you're like it should be like a 5 and 2, like 5 days on, 2 days of rest recovery. But just kind of interspersed, not in a row.
Yeah. So,
dispel some myths for me, sir, because I don't have all the information.
Yeah. So again, we're constantly learning about this, and so there may be a future version of this podcast where I come on and I say, hey, some of the things that I said, there's new information and whatever, but I'm also I'm not super convinced that a lot of this is going to change because there isn't a lot of, let's say, in the same way that good nutrition is good nutrition, and that hasn't really dramatically changed over the course of time. Mm-hmm. Same thing with good training. Similar is true with recovery. So there might be some nuances that have shifted, but so the thing about recovery is, and it's the most maddening answer, how often should I be, doing recovery, taking rest days, etc.? It really depends. And that's a hard answer to ask, but I'll give you extreme examples. Okay. If I am training for a bodybuilding competition and I am doing muscle part splits with my training, meaning like I go in and I do a shoulder day. I go in and I do a chest day. I'm doing a back day. I'm doing like one muscle group per day. My muscles probably don't need any additional recovery than the 7 days between my chest day and my next chest day. Like my muscles are probably recovered at that point because that is plenty of time for them to heal themselves and all of that sort of stuff. The thing that might start to go is my central nervous system, meaning I'm just like overall exhausted if I'm pushing myself
Right.
hard in those training sessions. There's a point, your central nervous system is basically like when you're like physically, you're like, I can't even get my, like, I have to collapse on the couch sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's your central nervous system. If you've ever like done like a really heavy compound lift, like close to a max, a 3 to 5 rep max of a deadlift or a squat or a bench press or a hip thrust or something like that, where you're like, I barely got my last rep in.
Yeah.
Or you've done sprints or something like that, and then you like literally collapse to the ground,
Yeah.
sort of thing at the end of it. That's like a central nervous system being exhausted. Like I just
Mm-hmm.
can't get myself up to do it. And the best metric that we have come up with in the fitness industry to measure your central nervous system's recovery is actually your grip strength.
Oh, okay.
If your grip strength, like if you find yourself like, oh my gosh, I can't, like you start a workout and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
my hand, like I can't even hold the weight, like my legs could probably do more, but I can't hold the weight that
Mm-hmm.
am used to holding.
Mm-hmm.
That's an indicator that you're not properly recovered.
Okay, that's super interesting because there are days where I'm like, I lifted this weight yesterday. Why can't I do it today? My hands won't hold it.
Yes, that's an indicator that you're not properly recovered. That is the
Super interesting.
So if you wanted to, right, and there are various degrees of expensive ones of this, but like one of the things that when I was working, or like I went and I visited a training facility that trains like really high level athletes. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
local to us,
Mm-hmm.
and I talk with coaches who train these high level athletes all the time, and they're doing like specific, hey, what are we doing based on your recovery levels? And they're really monitoring recovery super duper closely. There's tools where they'll come in and they'll literally just like squeeze a thing. Like you ever seen those
Yeah.
little, the
Yeah.
exercise things that you grip in your hand?
Yeah, but they have one
Uh,
that just tests grip strength.
that literally is like, how many pounds of grip strength do you have? And they like establish a baseline and then they have kind of levels to it. That's a way for you, like you could literally wake up in the morning and you could do the cheapest ones, right, the squeezing ones, and kind of measure like, how close do I get them, can I get the two together and hold it for 15 seconds, like whatever your baseline is. And it's like, can I do that this morning with both hands? How's my recovery? Right, that's how your central nervous system is doing. And so when we think about recovery, there's the two facets of it. There's the muscular recovery, and then there's the central nervous system recovery. And there we do this, we do our recovery different for each of those things, right? I'm going to recover with my muscles using different strategies, and there's overlap, but if I'm working on my muscular recovery, I'm going to use different strategies than I'm going to use on my central nervous system recovery. For most people, I will say this: if you're listening to this podcast and you're not training with any level of consistency, recovery is not your issue. We'll just say that, right? Like Jeff from a couple of months ago was not really consistent with training. My not consistency with training, my muscular recovery was not the issue. But the days that I showed up and I was like, it's really hard for me to train today, was one, it was a rhythm, a routine, a momentum sort of thing. But it was also likely a central nervous system recovery because whatever, I wasn't sleeping well or whatever it was. So like for instance, this morning, I would have normally woken up early to work out, but I was up 4 times last night with my kids
Oh, I'm so
in
sorry.
the middle of the night, just kind of spread throughout the night. And so I did not get good sleep. And so when 4:30 rolls around, I'm not properly recovered, from a central nervous system perspective. And so I could do one of two things. I can come down and I can train with lower level of intensity than my muscles could handle, right? So I'm not going to be pushing my muscles to the level that I could be because I don't have the central nervous system capacity to do it. And so like central nervous system wise, I'm going to be like, it's going to feel hard, but my muscles probably have the capacity to do more. And so that's more of a momentum workout, maintaining, right? I'm not necessarily going to be creating new muscle fiber in that workout. That's just not what I'm doing. Is that a bad thing to do? Of course not. Or what I opted to do is I know I'm going to have an opportunity to work out tomorrow. And so, because Megan and I are going away for 24 hours. And so generally speaking, yeah, we are in need of it because, this is her busy season with photography. She's gone most weekends. This is her only weekend that she's had off since like late August. And I'm going to be honest with you. Kindergarten? That's some BS. Like,
Yeah.
My kid's just an arse some of the time right now. I'm like, what?
Almost swearing, but still not.
I was like, this kid, man, like, what is his deal? Like, he's having a moment
time
right now. He's having a time.
It is exhausting to hold yourself together for that long school day.
Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it any less.
You're hoping that it evens out eventually?
Yeah, at some point, because I'm like, this is just obscene.
By the time it evens out, you're going to be hitting middle school. So
yeah, the amount of attitude we're getting at home right now is ridiculous. And so I could use a minute.
I would just film him and then play it back to him when he's in a good mood. Be like, this is how you behaved.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I might do that. I've thought about it. I'm like, because he'll like argue with me. He's like, I wasn't doing that, and I'm like, bro, you were like right. you were a jerk. Like I got
it's better.
No, I'm not expecting it to get better. Don't lie to me that it gets better.
It's not going to. No, I had an argument with
Emerson just going to get
earlier
different
this week because she was talking about the prime meridian and like the equator and the prime meridian. And I was like, oh, fun, you've stood on that in Greenwich in England. And she's like, yeah, but the real one is like 40 kilometers away. I'm like, okay, but you like, I'm just saying you stood on the one that's like the brass line through the countryside. And she's like, yeah, but that's really the real one anyway. I'm like, that's what I just said. But she's like, but I'm right. Like, you also just argued yourself out of your other point to like agree with my point, but yelling at me that I'm wrong. Cool. Yeah. I love middle school.
Yeah. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that happening right now.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. I got called bad daddy 9 times before 6 a.m. today.
Oh, and you are not.
Not even like you're a bad daddy, just bad daddy like I'm a dog. Like, bad daddy.
Oh.
And I was like...
That's kind of funny. It's funny for me because I'm not in the moment and I'm not being called bad mommy. But...
Yeah. So I opted for the other one, but if I didn't have that opportunity, I would have opted for the momentum piece of it that we were talking about, that we always talk about that way. But again, that's having then reasonable expectations. Central nervous system is not up to par. I'm not going to be able to lift to the level that I would normally lift. I'm not, but like I can push relative to myself. This is the John Wooden definition of success we talk about. Like, did I do the best that I could given the circumstances? Like, I can still push myself hard given what I have in the tank if I'm not central nervous system recovered. So again, we'll talk about how to go about that piece of it, but obviously sleep is a big component of that. Muscular recovery is, again, it depends on how hard you push your muscles and also a number of other factors. So like some people just recover easier than others. Generally speaking, as we get a little bit older, it takes our muscles a little bit longer to recover. But it also, it's a little bit about volume too, volume and intensity. So for instance, if I did an entire chest workout and I did 5 or 6 exercises all for chest, and I did 3 sets of each of those exercises, I did 18 sets of chest. My chest is going to be pretty well smoked for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
But if I did a total body workout and I did one exercise that was, chest kind of focused, one or two that was like a bench press or something like that, I did 3 sets, I'm probably going to be able to hit my chest again and use my chest again to do another pushing exercise in a day or two, because I didn't do as much volume, almost regardless of the intensity, because I only did that one exercise. And so when I'm building my workout plan, and you can go back to the very early, like in the teens episodes, there was a 3-part series on how to build your strength training program. How often I'm doing these exercises is going to impact that. But most people are not training to the point where muscular recovery is the issue. I'll say that, right? Like most people are not doing enough volume at enough intensity where you couldn't turn around in a day or 2 days and hit that same muscle group again. I'll just be honest. Like if you're taking a class at a gym, you're not anywhere close to failure for the most part. You're probably not doing anywhere near enough volume on any one muscle group or movement that you are like not able to do it for a while.
Right.
Now, this is where when you feel sore though, that's muscular fatigue. Oftentimes it's called delayed onset muscle soreness. DOMS is the acronym for it that we use in the industry, which is the one where you're like, I can't walk down the stairs, right? Like sitting on the toilet hurts.
Yeah, every Friday.
Like you feel like a baby giraffe where all of a sudden your leg just gives out underneath you. That usually comes, late onset muscle soreness is usually not volume induced. I'll say that. Like sometimes it's volume induced, but it's usually not volume induced over the course of, say, 5 days. Like if I did squats every day for 5 days, but I was nowhere near on any one of those days in muscular exhaustion, I'm probably not going to end up with any sort of soreness. Like I could do, if I did 3 sets of 8 squats Monday through Friday, but I did a weight that was, I probably could have done 10 reps with, I'm not going to be sore really any of those days because I didn't go anywhere near failure. I didn't push my muscles to the point where they need to suck a lot of nutrients, because that's really what it is. You have lactic acid buildup, you have tightness from the muscles trying to reheal themselves, and the muscles only really need to reheal themselves and suck a lot of nutrients and all of that kind of stuff if you push them to the point where they're tearing. You push them to the point where they are getting those micro tears, which is the point of strength training, and they need to heal themselves. So what are some ways that we end up with the delayed onset muscle soreness? We end up with DOMS. We either do an intense workout or we do enough volume. Like intense could be like weight or challenge load. It could also be volume. Like if I did one workout where I did a bunch, a lot of them, like if I did that chest workout that we were talking about where I did 6 sets of chest, I'm probably going to be sore on the heels of that, because that's just a lot of volume and I'm going to be sore on the heels of that. If I do progressive overload in a different way, I do more time under tension, like a slow eccentric or an isometric, or I do and I get into an exercise. This is a particular one that happens where your muscle is stretched under load, meaning like if I did like a deep bench press where I like went below 90 degrees and my chest is stretched at the bottom under load, that would likely create more soreness than if I was just doing the top part of my bench press. I never get into that deep stretch with it. Or if I do an exercise that I haven't done in a while or have never done. Because again, you're forcing your muscles to do something that they haven't done. And so it's unfamiliar. And so they are going to need to recover in that way. So how do I'm going to start here with the muscle recovery side of things. How do we kind of handle muscle recovery? One, DOMS is just part of the game. Like, you're not going to not, like, if you do something new or hard or a lot of volume or whatever it is, you're just going to get it. Like, that's part of the thing. Now, if you don't have it, does that mean that you didn't work hard enough? Not necessarily, right? Soreness is not necessarily the indicator of a good workout. Like, you can be sore and not have gotten a good workout. Mike Boyle, who runs that facility down in Massachusetts, I was telling you about, and kind of the godfather of modern strength training, gives the analogy like, listen, you could come to the gym and I could take you out back and beat you with a baseball bat for an hour, and you're going to be really sore the next day, but it doesn't mean you got any better.
Right.
Okay. So like, soreness is not necessarily the indicator that you had a good workout, but it can be, right? It's like rectangles and squares, right? Not all rectangles are squares, but every square is a rectangle. That's my math degree
Good
for
job.
you right there. I still remember that, and I said it right.
You did.
So when we're trying to recover from that muscle soreness, best thing that we can do is to focus on trying to get some movement back and blood flowing back to those muscles. So that's going for a walk, doing active recovery. You don't necessarily need to stretch, though you could. Doing a light workout. In addition, doing things like getting your blood flowing. What are some things to get your blood flowing that are not necessarily movement? The sauna has been sauna has incredible benefits. It is like, of all of the like fad type recovery deals, and I'll call sauna, cold plunge, red light, all of those types of things, sauna is the most researched and the only one with conclusive evidence that it has a positive impact on your overall health and on your recovery. Now, you have anecdotal evidence for a lot of those other things as well, and you might see some positive results, but like conclusive research, saunas are going to do it because why? Hot, you're sweating, all of that kind of stuff. Your body is going to your heart's going to be pumping more, and you're going to get more blood flowing, so can be good for your recovery there. Additionally, things that are important for muscle soreness: hydration, particularly with water, and or sometimes electrolytes can help, right? Electrolytes are not magic. They are in that like nice to have tier, but they can be helpful. Certainly they're helpful if it gets you to drink more water and it tastes better to put in like a Gatorade Zero packet or a liquid IV or whatever it is.
I like to do the liquid IVs on any day that I know I'm going to have a very sweaty workout, because I feel like it's just replenishing.
Yeah. And again, is that magic? Can you replenish it with your water? 100%.
100%.
Are you going to get it? Are you going to get the salt from your food? Most likely. Like, we're not so salt deprived,
right,
that we're going to, we desperately need these electrolytes, but is there benefit to it? Of course there is. But again, is it moving the needle dramatically? No. But hydrating, getting water in, 100%. That's a must-have. That's a top tier for both sides, making sure that you're hydrated. Because if you're not, this is the thing that you got to remember about your body. Your body wants equilibrium. Your body wants to get back to status quo. And so if I do something to bring myself down, like I add a stressor, like a workout, and now my recovery is now down here, like my bandwidth is lower, my body is going to do everything it can to try to get back to normal. And so it's going to go kind of order of operations. And if you don't have water, that's its first thing. It's like, we need water. And so it's going to be sucking it from everything. And so you're not going to recover the muscles as well, because your body's trying to do all of these other things. It's like when you're sick, and people tell me all the time, like, what do I do when I'm sick? Do I work out? All this kind of stuff. It's like, your body's number one priority right now is to get healthy. So going to do a lift right now, your body's not going to be able to put any energy toward recovering your muscles because it's putting all of its energy toward
getting better,
like not being sick anymore.
Well, that's
And
why
so
the
it's
number one medical advice when you are sick is to stay hydrated, to make sure you're
Mhm.
getting your fluids in. That's not just medical
No.
hooey. It's
Yeah.
there's a reason for it. Your body needs it.
Yeah. So we need to make sure that we are in that, we're hydrated, and then we're prioritizing the things that we prioritize. So your nutrition, again, making sure that you are having sufficient protein when you're recovering your muscles, because what's the building block of muscle? Protein, right? We need it. And otherwise, your body's going to try to pull from other stuff, and it's not going to be able to recover as well as it could be, right? Making sure that you're having quality food in your body, so your body isn't just churning through the food as it recovers, but it's like being able to like actually work off of it, and you're staying full and appropriately doing that, and it's not trying to handle a bunch of other stuff. Okay, so combating DOMs is not necessarily like, oh, okay, this is a bad thing or I have to do this. It's just part of the nature of the beast. But generally speaking, in terms of how many days you need to rest and whatever it is, you want to give yourself the opportunity to move again, not terribly far in advance, but you don't want to get so far. You don't want to try to turn it around really, really quick, because that's what impacts your central nervous system side of things. Okay. So I would say, generally speaking, we don't want more than 3 days of rest in between workouts, because one, that's going to increase your DOMs, on that side of things. But two, it's going to be harder momentum wise for you to do that. But we also probably don't want to go more than 2 days in a row of training without taking a rest day. And again, I've said this on the previous episode that I talked to you about in the How to Build Your Strength training. I would say that unless you are competing in a bodybuilding competition or a high-level athlete, you should not be training hard more than 4 days a week. That's a central nervous system issue. Like your body, like you can't train properly hard more than 4 days a week. Most people, and your muscles don't quite have enough time to recover. And so there's a bunch of different muscle splits that you can do. You listen to that episode and I can walk through the benefits of all of those. But making sure that you have the time and the space to recover, because again, volume times intensity gives you results. So let's put simple numbers to this for our intents and purposes. If I worked out 5 days a week or 6 days a week, I know you used to do basically 6 days a week of classes. So let's just do 6 days a week. It's like, hey, more is better, right? 6 days a week for an hour. This is P90X. This is insanity. This is all of those types of things that you used to do. Or it's like, more is better. I'm going to work out a lot, because if I'm working out more, then I'm burning more calories and I'm, all of that kind of stuff. There's the logic. I'm working out more. If I work out, let's say that I come in totally fresh on Monday and I'm able to give it a 10 out of 10 effort. All right. If I give it a 10 out of 10 effort on Monday, there's a 0% chance that I'm fully recovered by Tuesday to give it another 10 out of 10 effort.
Right.
You're just not. Like, the best recovered athletes in the world cannot give it a 10 out of 10 effort and turn around the next day and give it a 10 out of 10 effort. So at best, you're probably looking at a 7 or 8. But then you're at let's call it an 8. Let's go optimistic. But then you go the next day. Now we're at like a 6. Then we're at a 4. Then we're at a 2. And by the time we get to Friday and Saturday, we're just like scraping by.
Right.
But we're like still trying to show up. And we're like, I don't know how I'm not, it feels hard. Like everything feels hard. You're dragging by the end of the week and all this kind of stuff. And then you give yourself 1 day to recover. Sit on the couch and watch Gilmore Girls or whatever it is. But then you're actually maybe going out and do all this stuff. Is 1 day enough to recover from 6 so I get back up to a 10?
No.
For Monday? Probably not. Then I end up at 8 and now I'm sliding down the scale again. And so this is how we get burnt out. This is how you get exhausted. This is how you get hurt. But this is also how people are like, I'm working out all the time and I'm not seeing the results that I want. It's like, well, you're not able to give it any level of intensity. You're in the room and you get credit for being in the room. And it's not bad to go exercise even mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
However, you've given in the span of a month, you've probably had 2 good workouts, and then you've had a bunch of meh and a lot of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're better off doing less better and giving it some intensity, particularly when it comes to trying to build muscle, particularly when it comes to trying to improve your overall health, because I'm actually able to push myself to the appropriate levels. And again, you're not really burning that many calories during your workout, particularly if you're not giving it that much intensity. You would be better off going for a walk and burning 80% of the calories, but not having to impact your central nervous system that much, and then go back and do your workout again.
Mm-hmm. Can the central nervous system, this is related, but sort of not, can it be boosted by spending time like outdoors in the sun?
Oh, 100%. Like it's going to help your recovery 100%. Like this is where, we're coming into the winter. It's seasonal depressive disorder is a really, or seasonal affective disorder rather, is very common. Not moving in general, is going to do that. Now, it's not necessarily it is boosting your central nervous system to some degree, because it's impacting your brain and serotonin and all of that kind of stuff. And so that central nervous system is nerves, and nerves are impacted by the brain's impacted by the hormones that go to the brain, right? I don't want to get too into the nuances of it, but yeah, if I'm getting vitamin D and outside and serotonin, and your central nervous system can be boosted by connection with somebody that you love. You ever feel exhausted and then you get on the phone with somebody and it like kind of lifts you a little bit?
Yeah.
Or you're like, I'll go one step further. You might be depleted, but then you have the opportunity to go care for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like way more alive when you're like, I didn't have anything left to give, but you're able to like go and help somebody and care for somebody and give to them because they're going through a hard time. And that gives you a little bit of a boost. Yeah. Mental, emotional connection, 100% is there. So then the question is, what are the things that we need to boost that central nervous system? One, we need space for your body to do what it is that it's trying to do. Then we need sleep, right? Again, listen to the whole episode, the one about sleep, for more on sleep, right? That was, I send that one out to people all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing your sleep, it's going to impact your central nervous system. And again, I'm not going to bash this, okay? But your sleep scores and your recovery scores and all of those kinds of things that you get from your devices, they are informative. They are not gospel. Okay. And so one thing that I see people experience is that they treat that as like they wake up and they feel good, but then they look at their sleep score and it's bad. And then they all of a sudden lose energy. Yeah. Because it's like, oh, I must be bad. Right. This is expectation drives perception, perception drives reality. And so if I think that I should be better rested, then it's like, okay, why am I not? And then you feel like there's something wrong with you. Or if you feel good, but then your thing says that you're not well rested, then you're like, well, I don't understand anything, right? I must not be in tune with my body, all that kind of stuff. So giving yourself that space is valuable. Making sure you're prioritizing your sleep is a must have. Make sure you're prioritizing your stress management. Right. And again, there's the one about stress management that is essential to that. Right. This is where I think that this has gone totally off the rails in terms of like the villainization of cortisol. Right. And we talked about this on the stress management podcast. And like how spiking your cortisol is terrible, and cortisol face and all this kind of stuff. Like I think that we've gone way too far in the industry with this. However, I will say that if you are stressed, your body doesn't have it in it. It has a bandwidth for stress, and exercise is a stressor. So if I'm already depleted central nervous system, why you feel it when you're stressed. You feel it in your body when you're stressed, and you go and you try to exercise. Now, for some people, that can be a positive stress thing. You have to understand yourself a little bit better. Like, hey, am I stressed because I'm in my head? I got to get out of my head and into my body. 100%. But like, if you're not, like, if this is a spot where it's like, this is gonna further deplete me, I'm not going to be able to recover, like, unless that workout is the solution to your stress, basically. Like, you're going to no longer be stressed because you went and did the workout, which for some people 100%, right? But if you're going to go and that's going to further deplete you, then you're going to have a longer way to get up to back to baseline. So making sure that you're managing your stress in a lot of different ways, and that's the connection piece of it. That support is, remember the 4 S's that we talk about: sleep, stress management, support, and strategy are the 4 S's of fitness, really. Fat loss or fitness or whatever you want to call it, but like having support, people who are connecting with you, whether it's a coach or a peer or whatever it is, that place of connection is going to do all of that. But when we think about the recovery piece of it, we are oftentimes too flat out. Like, I was literally talking to a woman a week or two ago on Instagram, and she was telling me, like, she was training 5 or 6 days a week, like taking classes at the gym, and she was like training for High Rocks or something like that. And she was like, I'm just feeling like really puffy. Like, I'm feeling really puffy when I'm doing this. And I was like, I'm just curious, like, what would it look like for you to kind of pare back a little bit, instead of going 5 or 6 days, to go like to 4 days or 3 days and just do the strength training set of stuff, instead of all the like, you're trying to do strength training and then hit and then strength training and then cardio, you know what I mean? Like, and she's just trying to go high intensity, like we talked about, every single day. And she pulled it back. And within a week and a half, she's like, oh, I'm feeling way better. I'm able to like train way harder on those days. I'm feeling way less puffy, and I'm just going for walks on my other days. And again, we've talked about the effects of cortisol is water retention. Like, if you are stressed and your body is overstressed because you're overtraining, and this is where I think people have taken it too far, is like, you're working out too much. Like, this is a problem. And it's like, most people aren't working out too much, honestly, but to some degree in this aspect, there is a small subset, like, category of the world that doesn't give their body enough space to properly recover. And so you're under recovered and overtrained, and you're not then getting the benefits of your training at that point. So if you want to train more than 4 days, you absolutely have to do it at different intensity levels. Like, you could do, like, the max you could do to me would be like, if you did 4 days of strength training, and then 2 days of like low intensity, steady state cardio, like no more than zone 2. And again, listen to the one about cardio if you want to learn more about that. But like low intensity, where you're not really pushing yourself to that threshold, and you don't really need to recover from it. That would be the absolute, if you wanted to work out 6 days a week, that's what I would say that you're doing. And again, that's what high level athletes do. High level athletes don't train that much. High level athletes probably actually intensely train 3 or 4 days a week tops. And then they have other days that are those strategic recovery days, which is active recovery. And people, again, demonize active recovery. That means like, oh, I'm going to whatever it is. But it's just like, just move your body and get blood flowing. And it should be a situation where you leave that and you feel not tired at all. Like, you barely break a sweat sort of situation. And so whether it's stretching or mobility, stretching and mobility are great, recovery day activities, because they fall into that category if you're going to do them. But you can also do those with enough intensity that it's actually hard. And so you want to be mindful of that. But just going through the motions doesn't necessarily do you a lot of good. But main priority on those rest days is to get your central nervous system back up and running. Even more than the muscular recovery is the central nervous system recovery is your priority. Sip of water. Okay.
Yeah.
So
thinking about my day, thinking about how I'm going to make my rest day a little bit more central nervous system balancing.
Well, so again, we're talking about sleep, connection, stress management, moving your body, giving yourself enough space to recover, and hydration. I think I said, I don't know if I said that, but
Not in
that's,
that list, but yeah.
but like, that's kind of what we're looking to do so that your body can kind of recover. Now, of the other things that have value in recovery, and I'm just going to kind of run down a list of popular things for recovery, and I'm going to say whether it's meant for muscle or central nervous system or both, and kind of what tier it's in. Okay. In terms of supplementation, okay, the only supplement that there's really any good research for its ability to recover. Like, there's a lot of them that have some research that support it. And so that's going to be in the nice to have tier. That's going to be L-theanine and all of those kinds of things. There's really only two that have like real benefits that are studied, and that's going to be creatine monohydrate for everybody. Men, women. It's like back when I was in high school, people thought it was like steroids. They thought that's what Barry Bonds was taking, right? Like when Barry Bonds got all jacked, that's what he like told everybody. He's like, I'm on creatine, and everybody's like, that's steroids, and it's like, no, he was actually on steroids, but it's not, right? Most studied supplement ever, benefits for cognition, benefits for muscle recovery, benefits for central nervous system recovery. Take 5 milligrams, and I like the gummies from Legion. You can do the code JDFit if you want to. I'll put it in the show notes, but or don't. I don't care. But they also have like powders that you can just mix in with your shake or something like that are like no flavor, and you just mix it in with your shake.
Are they really no flavor?
There are some that are really no flavor.
All right.
They have some that are flavored too, but yeah. So creatine and then magnesium is going to help with sleep. I would not recommend for people who are interested in sleep. I talked about this is I'm having a brain fart. What's the name of the one that people take for melatonin? Yeah. No, I would not take melatonin.
No.
Melatonin is a hormone that your body should produce naturally. That is not something I would necessarily take unless your doctor strongly recommends it. And even then I would get a second opinion. Because it's literally a hormone that your body's supposed to be making. Magnesium is not. Magnesium is, found in it's a mineral. It's found in the world. Lower tiers of the L-theanine and L-carnitine, BCAAs, essential amino acids, like those have value, but like if you're not taking those, you're probably not going to notice a dang bit of difference. That's the same thing with that tier of the like would be nice to have if is like electrolytes. If you just drink regular water and you drink enough of it, like those are things that if you want to do, there's some benefit to them. Certainly, like it's not no benefit. You're not wasting your money on those things, but you're also not going to see any sort of real notable difference in your life. Things that people often do for recovery would be things like cold plunging. And so I will say, or cold exposure, or cold showers, or things like that. My very brief take on cold plunging is this. I think that there is more benefit mentally to cold plunging than there is physically. I don't presume to think that there is no benefit for some people, but there has been no evidence from any studies done yet of massive differences in muscular recovery from doing cold plunges. Some people, again, anecdotally feel better when they do it. And so I'm not discounting that. If you want to go do it, that's fine. If you have a place that is available to you, they're very expensive to buy and cultivate. But if you want to do that, that's fine. If you were picking between the two, I would go sauna 10 times over, right? 7 days of the week and twice on Sunday, like sauna 100%. Cold plunges, I think the mental benefit of doing something hard that you don't want to do and showing yourself that you can do hard things is, to me, the massive benefit of cold plunging were you to want to do that. Personally, I'd rather take a steam shower with 1,000 paper cuts on my body than get into a cold plunge, but that's me personally. So I don't really care what the benefits are. I will find other ways to get the benefits.
I would go swimming in the ocean up here in the summer because it's too chilly.
I do not like being cold. I'm not a cold person.
Oh, I should have worn my always cold sweatshirt.
So, cold plunges, any of those kind of like recovery boots or
Recovery boots?
you haven't seen those types of things, those recovery boots that like you wear them and they go like all the way up your legs.
Oh, okay. And they like just like help with the
Yeah, like kind of massaging. It's like
yeah.
tension and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Again, is there some benefit to it? I can get the logic of it, which
Or,
is
yeah, I'm sure it
like
feels nice.
they're moving your muscles like, and so you're hypothetically getting some more blood flow. You're probably going to get 90 plus to 100% of the benefit by just going for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly,
Mm-hmm.
like, are you going to get massive more benefit from sitting on the couch and doing that? I'd rather you just go for a walk, and it's a lot cheaper and you get other benefits from doing it. But if you want to spend your money on those, by all means. Red light therapy, there's really kind of, it's up in the air on the red light therapy side of things. Again, if you want to do it, by all means, there's not so much benefit to doing it. Last couple things, the stretching and mobility side of things. Okay. One, foam rolling is probably the one thing that if everybody did that on a regular basis, you would notice a massive difference in how you're feeling muscularly in your recovery. Is it going to make a big difference central nervous system wise? No. But is it going to make a difference muscular recovery wise? Absolutely. Is it going to hurt like hell the first time you do it? Absolutely, yes. It is too. But the analogy that I give is, imagine you have a rubber band with a knot in it. And then you try to stretch the rubber band. What happens to the knot?
It gets tighter.
It gets tighter. So why do we foam roll before we stretch? We take the knot out from the foam rolling, then we do the stretching, and we stretch them. We're not further stretching the knot into it, basically. So even if you don't stretch, taking 5 minutes to foam roll, massively beneficial.
I actually took a class this week that's what we did. We foam rolled for 15 minutes and then stretched for 15 minutes. And I was like, this is wonderful. It was more like to learn how to do it on your own. It's awesome.
Yeah. 100% super valuable to be doing that. Other than those things, there is virtually nothing else that has any real sort of impact on your recovery. So anything else that anybody tries to like sell you for recovery, any other supplement or anything like that, you will likely notice little to no difference at that point. And most people are not doing these things appropriately. Anything top of mind for you that you're like, hey, what about that I didn't cover during this?
No, because most of the things that I do, thankfully, are on your should do or at least nice to do list.
Yeah. But again, if you never do the should, like the nice to do or the want to do's, but you got better at even a couple of these are the must do's, you're going to notice a massive difference. And again, the number one thing that I would recommend for most people is space. Like if you're in a spot where you're like, I'm not recovering properly, like if that's the question that you're generally asking, like genuinely asking, you're probably training too much. If you're asking like, what should I be doing for recovery, and you're not training more than 3 times a week, you're not asking the right question. Okay. It doesn't mean that recovery is not valuable for you in that spot, but if you're in that spot, we're looking for more consistency with, workouts and stuff like that. The final thing that I'll talk about is like, if people want to think about like deload weeks or deload months or those type like recovery weeks, things like that.
Okay.
Again, this is global. Unless you are so consistent with your training, you don't need a deload week, because deload weeks will happen as life happens. Your kid will get sick. You'll get sick. You'll go on a vacation. Like, you're going to end up having 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks of the year that are going to get interrupted by life, and you're going to get natural deload weeks. Okay. You're just going to. So until you are so consistent with your training that you're like, I am doing things central nervous system wise, recovery wise, that I need to do, then you don't need it. But like, until you've done all of the must do's, then that's your first place before you
Mhm.
start considering I'm going to intentionally reduce intensity within my workouts. I'd rather you reduce volume
Mhm.
before you reduce intensity.
Okay.
And so, not like if you're like, I'm not recovering properly, first look at, do I have enough space in my schedule to recover? Am I getting good quality sleep and enough of it? Am I managing my stress properly? Am I maintaining quality connection with people? Am I hydrating properly? And is my nutrition proper? That's a lot to get figured out before you start considering, I need to take a week where I lift less. Like,
Right.
no. Like, most likely you just need to not work out as often as you are and fix your sleep. Like, that's probably what
Start
it
there.
comes down to.
Start
Start
there.
there. But if you need to dig in a little bit more, again, kind of go down that checklist and look yourself in the mirror and be honest. Am I doing the things that I need to do to recover properly so that I can feel the way that I want to feel and get the most out of my training and get back to the rest of my life with the energy that I want? Because again, exercise should be energy giving overall and not energy taking. So if you are constantly more depleted when you leave the gym than when you go into it, you have a central nervous system recovery problem and you need to get that fixed. If you are, I feel up for this and my muscles are still sore weeks, multiple days later, then you probably either have a training program problem or you have a muscle recovery problem and you're not eating enough protein and drinking enough water and moving your body in between your workouts. All right.
All right.
Simple, actionable, hopefully.
I think so.
If you have questions, shoot them to me over on Instagram. Would love, if you want to argue with me about anything, you can argue with me over there. I may or may not care enough to argue back with you, but you're welcome to come and yell at me over there if you want to, or if you have specific questions, the things that you want my feedback on when it comes to recovery, you can do that. And again, appreciate you listening. This has been the Fit Parent Podcast. We'll see you next time.